The Assassin Order, or better to say the Assassin Brotherhood, has been around for as long as men can remember. It's a secret organization that dedicates itself to protect the free will of mankind and assuring the freedom to live peacefully without interferences. They fight on behalf of those who do not have the opportunity to change society or speak out against the abuse of power. They work strategically to neutralize or remove oppressors or tyrants. It's hinted that the first assassins existed during the first civilization era. They have been involved in many historical conflicts and events that shape the future of our world. But what keeps the assassins alive? Why are they still here? What do they fight for? And what makes exactly an assassin? It's the Assassin's Creed, their ideology, their philosophy. But what is the creed? Well, that's what we will find out today. While other men follow blindly the truth, remember, nothing is true. Where other men are limited by morality or law, remember, everything is permitted. The wisdom of our creed is revealed through these words. We work in the darkness to serve the light. We are assassins. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. You parrot the words but do not understand them, and so it's often misinterpreted. The creed tells us to be wise, and that law does not come from divinity, but reason. The role of the Assassin Order, or better to say the Assassin Brotherhood, is to open the minds of men. Protect the freedom of humanity. Your freedom, my freedom, our freedom. Nothing is true. It does not mean you shouldn't believe in anything at all. There are lies in the world, illusions so to speak. We either submit to, like most people do, or transcend. To transcend is to recognize nothing is true and everything is permitted. One should question the information presented to them and not blindly follow it. One should question where he or she got its information from. If nothing is true, then why hate people who think or believe different from you? Why be angry if they are Catholic, Christian or atheists? If everything is permitted, then why be afraid of being gay, lesbian and etc.? Everything is permitted. You can do whatever you want in life, but remember, everything is permitted does not support the idea of going around mindlessly doing whatever you pleases. There are consequences to your actions that affect you and everyone around you. If everything is permitted, then why be ashamed of what people think of you and what you wear? It's your choice after all. But remember, there are consequences to your actions. Once you have accepted the creed, you will find inner peace in yourself and in everything. To live as an assassin and execute your missions as one, you must follow the 3 tenets of the creed. 1. Stay your blade of the flesh of the innocent. 2. Hide in plain sight. 3. Never compromise the Brotherhood. Stay your blade of the flesh of the innocent. The assassins fight for those who cannot fight, those who do not harm others. The assassins murder, yet is how they achieve their goal. But mostly they murder the corrupted people. Tyrants, those who take the freedom of others and abuse their power over the people. How could one be free and learn to find peace with themselves and in everything? If they live in fear, if they live under oppression, if they live a lie. To make an example, if an assassin is sent on a mission to kill his or her target who is located in a city, he or she will not bombard the city with cannon fire, but simply infiltrate the city and search for the target, and pull an assassination attempt on the target. A consequence of killing innocent civilians or those who are innocent will bring discomfort to the people. The people will fear the assassins and never find to peace. And not only that, but the name of the Assassin Brotherhood could be entirely ruined by this. If you are targeted by an assassin, he or she will not go after your family. They are innocent, and so they have done nothing wrong to become a target in their eyes. Your family is safe. To give a bit more detail and an example, if you are a father or a mother and you are assassinated and your child watched the whole event, the assassins are not allowed to kill the child. The child did nothing and was an innocent bystander. It's even possible that the assassin will not even kill the parent if the child is watching or is close by. The assassins are not hired contract killers. They are not hitmans. If you wanted to get rid of someone and try to pay them, they are not allowed to, because it will bring dishonor on the creed and a bad reputation to the Assassin Brotherhood. But there have been instances that the assassins accept the contract if the target hurts people around them and it is not to be reasoned with dialogue. Most contracts we see though are given by assassin allies and not citizens. If a group of innocents of all ages or in entire towns are misled to believe that the assassins are evil or demons because someone told them so and attack the assassin to kill him or her, the assassin is still not allowed to kill them. The attackers, the innocents, are under an illusion, a lie, that they believe is true, and so the assassins aren't allowed to kill them. Knocking them out though is okay, but only if they are a threat to you and try to use violence against you. If you did kill an innocent though in a fight, it could be seen as self-defense, but it depends on the situation, why it happened, how it happened, and if there was no other way. If you did kill the innocent while there were other ways to solve the conflict, the assassin could get in big trouble by his brothers and sisters of the Brotherhood. Hide in plain sight. Be unseen. Become one with the surrounding. Not wanting to endanger the innocents and those who have nothing to do with their mission. The assassin should use stealth to approach the target. By using the crowds and hiding in plain sight, this could give the illusion to the enemies that they are everywhere and nowhere at once. Some like to call this social stealth. Social stealth is the ability of the assassin to walk amongst the people without being noticed. By protecting the people and not giving them a sense of that you are here to harm them and their closest, they unknowingly give the assassins protection from the city guards or their enemies in general. In the older days though, the assassins did perform assassinations on their targets more in public. They did this to scare the enemy because by using hide in plain sight, it could scare them. But the public assassinations were quick and swiftful. Never compromise the Brotherhood. Your actions as an assassin should not harm the lives of your brothers and sisters or any member of the Brotherhood. Don't endanger the Brotherhood. Never do something that could lead back to the Brotherhood. Don't be followed by your enemies or the Brotherhood's enemies back to the Brotherhood's location. You are the one responsible for your actions. Everything is permitted, but don't go around mindlessly and think you don't have anything to say in the matter. You choose to kill, and that can lead to consequences. These three tenets are supposed to guide the assassin to life and on a mission. To control their emotions, not endanger the Brotherhood, not endanger the life of an innocent, and make the right decision during their mission or a confrontation. The three ironies of the creed. While the three tenets of the creed are simply on paper, it's a paradox. It's a complex guideline that the assassins have to deal with. These three rules the assassin has to live by force the assassin to look at every situation as objectively as possible, to make the most logical decision. Obtaining information for a mission becomes even more important, because if they overlook something, they could break one or all three tenets of the creed. Independent of earlier or contemporary situations, doing so could lead to decisions that seem contradictory or maybe even hypocritical. Cognitive dissonance and rebellion in the Brotherhood. So decisions have to be planned out very carefully to stay true to the three tenets of the creed. In light of this, Altair had created the three ironies of the creed, the three big contradictions that the assassins struggle with, and he wrote the three ironies down in his personal codex on page 4. 1. The assassins seek to promote peace, but commit murder. 2. The assassins seek to open the minds of men, but require obedience to rules. 3. The assassins seek to reveal the danger of blind faith, yet practice it themselves. Altair stated this: I have no satisfactory answer to these charges, only possibilities. Do we bend the rules in service to a greater good? And if we do, what does it say of us? That we are liars, that we are frauds, that we are weak? Every moment is spent wrestling with these contradictions, and in spite of all the years I've had to reflect, still I can't find no suitable answer, and I fear that one may not exist. Altair, in attempting to provide an answer, suggested that the creed incorporates an even deeper meaning, that paradoxes exist and are not impossible, or rather that it's because paradoxes exist and cannot be avoided that nothing is true. Do not blindly follow an idea or an ideology. There are other assassins that have tried to answer this question many times with their own interpretations. To name one example, the assassin Yamai in the modern day era talked about the three ironies of the creed. Her answer, which was her interpretation, was that you give away a small part of your own free will to the creed, so that you and I can have more. She offers up some of her own free will, so that we can find peace to our own free will and freedom. Edward Kenway also questioned the creed and said that maybe the creed is not in its final form, and maybe that's just the beginning of a form of wisdom. The creed is not supposed to be blindly followed, I remind you. Respect for dead.
Hai avuto la fine che meritavi! Spero che
Enough, Ezio! Show some respect.
Respect? After all that's happened, do you think he would have shown either of us such kindness?
You are not Fieri. Do not become him. Che la morte ti dia le pace che cercavi. Requiesca in pace.
Murder may be the means of the assassins to achieve their goal, but they are dissuaded to take joy in it. Life is precious after all, and something to celebrate, because of all the joy it can bring. The assassins murder, yes, but they do it to protect others. Respect must be shown for taking a life at all times.
Che tu possa conoscere la verità nella morte. Requiescat in pace.
You offered him a chance to salvage his dignity. Why?
No man should pass from this world without knowing some kindness.
But he shunned your graces.
As was his right.
By taking away the life of a person, you take away everything that the person was or ever will be. You could cause grief amongst the person's family and friends, possibly begin a wave of sadness and sorrow, and possibly revenge and recrimination. Not all assassins seem to murder, or were dedicated enough to it. In the modern era, before the Great Purge of the year 2000, that wiped out almost the entire assassin brotherhood in the modern day era, Daniel Cross was searching to his apartment for his medicine. With the help of Hannah Moller, a young woman who was born into the Brotherhood, Daniel makes a comment on her that she is a killer, and she replies with that she never killed anybody in her life, even though she seems to be in her mid-20s and was born in the Assassin Brotherhood. She mostly worked with computers. In the 19th century, Ethan Fry, a member of the British Brotherhood, trained a young Henry Green to become an assassin. He trained the young Henry in the art of killing. Henry had talent, it was almost supernatural you could say, but he lacked the one thing. Ethan quickly realized that Henry had not the killer instinct in him. Ethan discussed this with Henry's father, Abbas. He told Abbas that the boy lacked the skill, the killer instinct, and that he was not ready for the field. He can serve the Brotherhood in other ways. What a mentor he will be, a master tactician, and policy maker, a great leader. And somebody has to be these things. Henry can be these things, just not never a warrior. The conversation between Ethan and Abbas went on a little longer, with Abbas disagreeing with his friend in Assassin College. But Ethan still kept believing that Henry will never be a warrior. A few years later they exchanged letters to each other. In short, Ethan sets this against Abbas over his son. Assassins we may be in name, yet not all of us can be assassins in nature. And so it is with Henry. I understand how heartbreaking it must be for you. He is, after all, your son. You yourself are a great assassin, and he has potential to be one. However, what I know for sure is that though he may be skilled and talented in the means of dealing with death, Henry lacks the heart to do so. He will kill, yes, he will kill, if needs be. Ethan then goes on saying that Henry will kill in self-defense if his life is threatened in a heartbeat. And he will kill those who threatens the lives of those who he loves. But Ethan doubts that he will kill for an ideology, for the creed, and in cold blood. He goes on saying that they should celebrate that individuality and turn it to good use for the Brotherhood. Ethan Fry also started doubting the way the assassins raise their children. He believes strongly that the assassins stand for what is right in the world. They see millions of bright spots, intelligent, feeling beings with their own potential. But his doubt lies in the application of that ideology. If we fail our children by molding them into our image, when in fact we should teach them to follow a path of their own. Ethan gave his children, Jacob and Evie Fry, the tools to make a path for themselves as an assassin, and not an image of himself. As you see, there were assassins who were against the idea of sending their children, family, or their brothers and sisters to the Brotherhood on assassination missions. Supporting the Brotherhood and keeping to the creed should be enough for some. They could serve the creed in their own individual and unique ways. We should accept them for who they are, right? Not everyone in the world is the same. Being an assassin does not necessarily mean you are a killer or you have to be a killer. Being an assassin is protecting humanity's freedom, knowledge, individuality, peace, love, choice, future. Opening the eyes of men, dispelling, breaking the illusion of your beliefs. What you see and hear, giving away a small part of your own free will to help others, to serve the creed. There were certainly assassins that could sleep at night after an assassination, but some kept thinking about it what they had done.
About you, why aren't you out there? I'm not out there because my expertise lies in other areas. And to be honest, I prefer it that way. But make no mistake, Desmond. I'm an assassin through and through. I've killed before. I expect to kill again. It's just that I prefer not to.
It's hard enough taking a life, but letting one be taken? Knowing there was something I could do about it? Not a chance. Might be I'm risking my life, risking all our lives to save an asshole. What else am I supposed to do? That asshole is my dad.
What are you doing?
There are rules. We are nothing if we do not abide by the Assassin's creed.
As in, we are not assassins if we do not follow the creed. You can have the skills of an assassin, but it does not make you one. Stay your blade of the flesh of an innocent, hide in plain sight, never compromise the Brotherhood. These 3 tenets are important to the Brotherhood. You have to live by it, remember? So there are big consequences to breaking them and showing disobedience. On most occasions, breaking one or all 3 tenets of the creed can lead to execution of the person. The Levantine Brotherhood that was located in the Levantine, who lived in the castle of Masyaf, took this very serious. Altair, before he became one of the wisest and legendariest assassins of all time, broke all 3 tenets of the creed when he was younger. He killed an innocent old man. He did not hide and attacked the Templars straight on, revealing the assassin's presence, believing he was better than them. And at last, he led the Templars back to the Brotherhood's location. Altair was sentenced to execution, but was spared by Al-Malin, the mentor. He still needed Altair for special missions. Altair was demoted from his rank as master to novice, an apprentice, and his weapons were taken from him. In time, Altair learned from his mistakes. He remembered that nothing is true and everything is permitted. The creed does not tell you to do as you please, but to be wise, to take responsibilities for one's actions, and that we should accept the consequences to our actions, whether glorious or bad. The Levantine Brotherhood was one of the most strictest brotherhoods there was back then. Al-Walin believed that attachment would weaken the assassins, causes us to falter when our lives were on the line. One was not allowed to attach themselves or show emotion, and completely dedicate their life to the creed, sacrifice their own life even for it. This did change though when Altair became the mentor. He never knew his parents that well. Altair wanted children. He wanted to love them, be loved back. It's only human.
Revenge drove me forward, and my first impulse was to aim for the head. In time, however, I learned that those who inspire fear have more devoted followers than those who preach love. Killing Rodrigo and Cesare would have accomplished nothing without some equal measure of fraternity. So I spent many years teaching men and women to think and act for themselves. First in Roma, then Constantinople. Love binds our order together. Love of people, of cultures, of the world. Fight to preserve that which inspires hope, and you will win back your people.
Another instance of breaking the tenets will be in the 16th century in Constantinople. One of Ezio's Auditores recruits broke the first tenet of the creed by mistaking a cleric for a Templar. Instead of punishing the recruit, Ezio told him about what he did and gave him the chance to redeem himself. In the 18th century, the assassin of the British Brotherhood, Bernard Ruddock, was excommunicated from the Brotherhood because of his gambling and drinking habits. Another instance in the 18th century was when Arnaud Dorian was expelled for multiple reasons from the French Brotherhood in Paris. He pursued targets without informing the Brotherhood first. He was accused of not caring about their ideals and creed, and accused of going on a personal vendetta and blathering the creed at every step. Race, gender, sexuality, heritage, family, past crimes. The assassins do not care about your gender, sexuality, race or skin color for that matter. It's more about the person itself they care about. You can be religious, believe in God, and why not, right? What matters is what you believe in and why you believe it. How can one hate someone for their sexuality and race if nothing is true and everything is permitted? How can one find inner peace in oneself and in everything if you try to deny it from them? How can one have free will and freedom if you deny it from them if all are born equal? Why would racism and sexism be a thing if we are all equal? Why is someone better than the other person because of their wealth and intelligence? Why will I be better than you if I was smarter than you? What does that make me? Better, but why? What does that make you? Why should I get more right than you? If you were born with a mental illness, then why deserve I more right than you? We are all equal. We are the same species. You might need more affection and attention, but I can't hate you for what you are or how you were born. I accept the creeds. I understand these words. The assassins do not care about your social status, but about the person itself, the human being, the individual. You can live on the street, be poor, a second-class citizen or a prince, but those are just statuses. We are all equal. We are the same species. The assassins are believers of second chances if one proves themselves and is willing to. The pirate Edward Kenway did everything as he pleased when he sailed the Caribbean seas, not caring who he hurted, but in the end there was no man or woman who he loved standing beside him. Everything he worked hard for was destroyed, and the little that he had left, he had no one to share it. He hurted the assassins years ago, murdered their brothers and sisters for money. He realized now how they must have felt. The assassin Mary Reed, a friend of Kenway, always hoped that Edward would join the assassins, believing that he had the skills and the mind to become one. She even believed this until the day she died. He tried to amend for all his past mistakes to his friends and the assassins. He helped and saved the assassins multiple times. Al-Tabai, the mentor of the West Indies Brotherhood, believed that Edward deserved that second chance in life, and as an assassin, he had faith in humanity. One could say he was the embodiment of faith. Al-Tabai was most of the time when he was on screen calm, peaceful, observant of Edward's actions and what he had to say. Al-Tabai was able to forgive Edward for murdering his brothers and sisters years ago, because Edward wanted to be better and he helped the Brotherhood and safeguarded humanity's free will and freedom, and Edward found peace within himself. Another instance of faith will be Daniel Cross in the modern day era. Daniel was an ex-drug addict with many psychological issues he received from being experimented on at a very young age, by being forced to go inside the enemies at a very young age by Abstergo Industries. He did not give the best first impression to the assassins. Daniel needed his medicine or else he will become crazy. Hannah, who had faith in him, helped him search for his medicine. Daniel eventually joined the assassins, believing he had found his calling. He never had friends, he never belonged somewhere, never knew his parents that well. But Hannah, she and the assassins gave him a second chance in life, a new path, and on this new path he uncovered that he had assassin ancestors. He showed progress, became more clean, got help, and he helped the modern day assassins. The assassins do not care about your heritage or what family you came from, but the person itself. Even if you were the son of the greatest enemies, you had to make your own choices in life and could still join the assassins. Ironically though, the assassins who are extremely optimistic on humanity and believe it's possible of doing great things do believe that some people cannot change, even when open in dialogue with, and it's one of the reasons why they commit murder. Some people are so close-minded and do not care about others. Some other people only care about hurting people for no reason and are not willing to listen. There are situations where dialogue will not be an option, and to protect the innocent, a life must be taken.
Look, it's not ideal. And taking a life is never easy. But sometimes, there's no other way. Sometimes, Desmond, people have to die for things to change.
She's got a point, but don't fool yourself into thinking you have no say. I mean, isn't that what we're all about here? Safeguarding free will?
Even Altair believed that some men were not to be reasoned with. They lacked the compassion, so to say. Freedom and free will both sound simple, but are complex. How can one learn and achieve peace without freedom and free will? Through this, mankind can evolve and find new solutions for existing problems and come up with new creative ideas. With freedom, you get choices. You don't feel like you're locked up in a cage against your own will. There will be no illusion of freedom. There will be peace. The assassins can try to force freedom and peace, but that will be an illusion. Peace can only be obtained by learning, to be understood. But if you force it, it will never find its way into your soul, your heart, your mind. By allowing men to keep their free will and freedom, they will learn into their own freedom and free will. The Assassin supports democracy governments where one has a say in one's destiny. As I said before, one should have free will and freedom, but not take it from others. And as an assassin, you must respect one's culture, viewpoints, beliefs, and accept one's fallibility. The assassins are accused of anarchism and have been called agents of chaos by the Templar Order. But the assassins support democracy and not abolition of governments. By dispelling the illusion people throw on you, there's only one way of thinking. Their way of thinking. Those who take away your choices and free will. You will find peace and acceptance. Do they believe there is a God?
There is a chapel here too. The prete seems a nice enough fellow, but I've never been much of a believer.
Water never turned to wine. It was not the machinations of Iris that spawned the Trojan War, but this! Illusions! All of them!
A very interesting topic if you ask me. There is this idea that Assassin's Creed is a form of atheism and tells us that God doesn't exist. As an example here, in the Assassin's Creed world, Jesus Christ did indeed exist, but his resurrection was because of a piece of Eden. Ancient technology made by those who came before, also best known as the Isu race, the first civilization, the precursors, and also classified by obstacle industries as Homo sapiens divinus. Mankind was created by science in the AC world. Gods like Minerva, Juno, Jupiter, Consus, Saturn, and Iris all existed in the AC world, but they were not the gods, they just simply came before. And eventually their race was extinguished. It's the origin story in the Assassin's Creed world that inspired many cultures and religions. But even so, the assassins did not exclude the concept of God and the afterlife. One should always be open-minded and ask questions. Bayeko Siwa was religious and believed in God and in the afterlife. The assassin Theodora believed in God and practiced her religion in her own way. But there were many assassins that didn't believe in the concept of God and in the afterlife. Altair himself, one of the most famous and well-known assassins, believed he himself that God and the afterlife doesn't exist. Soon I shall pass from this world, it is my time. All the hours of the day are now colored by thoughts and fears born of this realization. I know that the elements of my body will return to the earth, but what of my consciousness, my identity, that is to say, what of me? I suspect it will end. That there is no next world, nor a return to this one. It will simply be done forever. Our lives are so brief and unimportant. The cosmos cares nothing for us. For what we have done. Had we wrought evil instead of good, had I chosen to abuse the apple instead of seal it away, none of it would have mattered. There is no counting, no reckoning, no final judgment. There is simply silence and darkness, utter and absolute. And so I have begun to wonder, might there not be a way to stop or at least delay death's embrace? I have studied the ancient pagan faiths that came before this more recent obsession with a single divine creature. They seem to have focused more on the fundamental forces at play in the world around us and less on arbitrarity and moral rules. And so there was an attempt to categorize, study, explain and understand the way things work, even if it was flawed, but no more. We are asked to succumb to a far more simplified explanation. How naive to believe there might be a single answer to every question, every mystery. That there exists a long divine light which rules over all. They say it is a light that brings truth and love. I say it's a light that blinds us and forces us to stumble about in ignorance. I long for the day when men will turn away from invisible monsters and once more embrace a more rational view of the world. But these new religions are so convenient and promise such terrible punishments should one reject them. I worry that fear shall keep us stuck to what is certainly the greatest lie ever told. Altair did not believe in God. He did not hate people who believed in God, and so does the Brotherhood. One should accept that everyone thinks different, but what Altair is trying to say is nothing is true. One should be open-minded and not hang on one answer to everything. There is not one way to look at the world, and do not blindly follow one certain idea, ideology, religion or thought. Do not punish someone for thinking different from you. It is not to be taken as offense, but as a viewpoint of one person who believes different. Missions, questioning, doubt after murder, and objectivity?
What are their crimes? Greed, arrogance, the slaughter of innocents.
Before the assassin is assigned on a mission to assassinate someone or for something else, like liberating slaves or protect a certain person of interest, the assassin will be informed on the mission on why they need to do this, why this person was targeted, where the person is located, their name and more. The assassin was allowed to question what the source of the information was and refuse the mission, but there needs to be a reason for it though. Depending on the Brotherhood and mentor, penalties for disobedience could be different, but we already discussed that. The assassins do want a good reason though for refusal. It's of course your choice to accept the mission, but what brought you to the conclusion of not accepting it? That is important as well. It's important to know why you refused and why you believe it. Once the assassin accepts the mission, he or she might get special equipment back if it was taken from them, or they will get equipment for a special reason.
I know what to do.
And that is why you remain a novice in my eyes. You cannot know anything. Only suspect. You must expect to be wrong, to have overlooked something. Anticipate, Altair. How many times must I remind you of this?
The main goal is peace, but at the heart of the ideology lies the principle that not one person can know the objective truth of a situation. Assassins must gather as much information as possible on the mission, the target, the surrounding, the location and more, so they can make the best objective decision. No single way can be looked at every situation, no single rule can be applied to every situation. The risk of looking at every situation the same is the risk to become blinded by dogma. The Brotherhood strives for diversity of thoughts. The assassin must look at every situation as something new, even if the situation seems to be the same as the previous one. It's not uncommon for the assassin to feel doubt after an assassination. Was it right to take the life of this person? Was it really that bad what he did? Was this justice? Did I do this for myself or others? Am I better than him or her? It's only human to feel this way, to think this way. It was possible to talk with your mentor and other fellow assassins on the matter on how this affected you. The assassin is allowed to retreat from a mission and stopping themselves from killing the target if the circumstances changes. One must be sure to know that they don't endanger the lives of the innocents. And one must be certain to know if this person indeed deserved death. Assassinating people without thinking things through can lead to consequences.
I've seen your handiwork across the city. Perhaps you should trust my judgment.
I've been killing Starrick's henchmen. What have you been doing? Let's ask Henry, shall we?
I have been repairing your mistakes. Too much haste is too little speed.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
What is it, Leonardo? What does it do?
I could no more explain this than explain to you why the Earth goes around the sun.
You mean the sun around the earth? The Codex refers to it as a piece of Eden.
The Spaniard. He called it the apple.
Like Eve's apple, of forbidden knowledge. Are you then suggesting that this thing...
Pieces of Eden. Unlike the Templars, the assassins do not use the artifacts on the people, but hide it. Pieces of Eden are powerful relics of ancient times. Some of them, like the apple, can control the minds of men. But that will take away our free will of thinking for oneself and our freedom. There is much knowledge to be learned, obtained from the Pieces of Eden. The assassins look at the world from a scientific point of view, so they can learn how it works, and not as much with subjectivity. As an assassin, you will learn facts over mankind, its creation, its secrets, its history, not biases but facts about the world and ourselves. Assassins try to keep the artifacts out of the hands of the enemies and out of the public eye. The enemies wanted to use the Pieces of Eden for their own goals, their own gain, and to control the people around them. Some people are weak-minded and will not be capable to understand the existence behind the artifacts and turn crazy when they realize the truth of our existence or worse. Like I said, the assassins are optimistic over humanity, but they know not everyone is the same. Revealing the artifacts could cause chaos amongst the people, and so they tried to hide it. Joining the Brotherhood, ceremony and rituals. An assassin is either born into a family already presented in the Brotherhood, or is recruited to become a full member of the order. Fellow assassins will be present in the ceremony room in their assassin robes, if the assassins are available. During the 18th century, when Connor went to his initiation, the only one who was present was his mentor Achilles Davenport, because the colonial Brotherhood was wiped out. So it was not much of a ceremony, and both really were in the time type for it. And to become a member of the Order, you have to leave behind your family, or else they will become targets for their enemies. And the Brotherhood will be your new family. The apprentice will be given by one of his brothers or sisters the iconic hidden blade, the mark of an assassin. Some even say it defines them as assassins. Without the hidden blade, many of their great victories and achievements will not be possible. The blade has been with them for thousands of years, even before the birth of Christ. In ancient days, one's ring finger will be removed when becoming a full member of the Brotherhood to show dedication to the creed. But there were more reasons though. In the old days of the Brotherhood, the hidden blade could only be used if the ring finger was removed, so a sacrifice had to be made for accepting and wielding the iconic blade. After Altair changed the hidden blade by using the knowledge he obtained from the Apple of Eden, ring fingers did not have to be removed from its wielder. But still, some Brotherhoods, like the Spanish Brotherhood, stays true to the original sacrifice. There is more, but to keep this short and simple, there will be a speech of the creed and a leap of faith to become a full member of the Brotherhood. Epilogue. In the modern day era, assassinations happened less often. It took more in today's society than a blade to change the world, so the assassins tempered with politics like the Templars did. The creed is not meant to support nihilism or anarchism. It does not support you to go around mindlessly. It does not answer the paradox that assassins murder in the name of peace, or kill those that disagree with their own ideals and in the name of free will. The creed instead tells us to be wise. It's meant to be understood. Nothing is true and everything is permitted. You are the player in your life. You decide your future, who you love, what you do, what you stand for, what you believe in, and why you stand for it and believe it. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
We work in the dark, serve the light. We are assassins.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly did enjoy making it. And I hope it gives people a better understanding of the Assassin's Creed, their goals, ideology and philosophy. Have a great day or night wherever you are.